Here we are in New Hope, Minnesota for the final day of the Minnesota Memorial Classic. It's at Criterium on Memorial Day to see who finishes on top of the podium for the Omnium. As you can see, it is a flat 1.1 mile non-technical course. The Masters will be racing for 45 minutes with bonus laps with 10 to go and 5 to go. So I realize I am at the line here, 18 points down from first. I am tied with Brian Welch, who is, again, we are both, I guess, basically in third, and there goes Chad Wisegram, who is in first by 18 points. That gap is pretty much insurmountable, even with the bonus laps here in the race, but we're going to give it a shot. I have 3 teammates in the race who are going to do some outstanding work for me. Michael Mordoz, Ben Schinke, and Laszlo Alberti. On the third day of a short stage race, you never quite know how your leg is going to feel, but mine felt awesome all morning long. So here we are in the first lap. This section goes along 169 and into a slight headwind. We averaged just over 27 miles an hour for the race, which isn't extremely fast for a non-technical crit, but we're moving. As you can see, I've got my data down below. Right now we're going 27, 28 miles an hour. My heart rate's still pretty low. My cadence will average about 95 to 100 RPMs. Distance, duration, and there is our little map there on the bottom right. So there's kind of 3 hard turns, but the first one isn't much of a turn at all, and the roads are so wide that, again, you can pretty much pedal through all of these turns. But again, just getting familiar with the course here on lap 1. Always trying to conserve energy. It is the 40 plus and 50 plus field again together. We will be scored separately at the finish as well as on the bonus laps. And by this point in the weekend, we pretty much know who is racing in which category. I'm on Matt Meyer's wheel. Here approaching the start-finish line for turn 1. Nothing too exciting's happened yet. We're just rolling. Brendan Hale back from Nationals to race with us on this final day. He did not partake in the first 2 days of the Minnesota Memorial Classic for us. You hear Jim Cullen on the microphone say my teammate Ben Schinke is on the front. He spent a lot of time on the front, taking us over these train tracks. They had carpet and planks down on the right side, but for some reason we're going over the left side. I guess that is the shortest distance around. Track Racing 101, right? Sitting on Andy Fry's wheel again. He's got fresh legs. He did not participate in the first 2 races of the weekend. Got Ed behind us, who is not riding for our team right now. Somebody should really pick him up. Robert Ashton, who spent a lot of time on my wheel this weekend, as I'm realizing, for Flanders, riding for 50 plus. And again, the bonus laps are not until 10 to go and 5 to go at 1.1 miles. These laps are, I guess I should have timed the first one, taking us about 2.5 minutes. And they're still trying to figure out exactly how many laps we will be racing. Again, with the Criterium, they typically time the first couple laps, do some quick math, and then we will get a lap countdown at some point here shortly. Not expending a whole lot of energy, sitting in Trying to conserve my legs. Realizing that I'm going to need to sprint at least 3 times here. And I say at least because I could be bridging up to a breakaway as well. The rider that I'm tied with, Brian Welch, is not much of a sprinter, so I'm anticipating that he is going to jump at some point, and hope that my lackluster time trialing skills will create some separation and he can possibly get away. So I always have one eye out on that. All right, there's all Hollywood racers right there. We've got Todd Foster, Brian Welch, and Matt Stein working together to hopefully get their teammate Brian Welch one step higher on the podium. Then I got Chad Wisegram here in my rear, who again is 18 points up, thanks to his big win yesterday in the road race, as well as his win in the circuit race. So he had a great weekend. Jason Engel here on my rear. Again, he is the overall promoter of the Midwest Flyover, racing in the 50-plus category. Yeah, you can hear that wind in this section. Yeah, I don't know how Mike Delaney found this course, but I think generally people's opinion and the racers' opinion is it's not too bad. There's a couple potholes on the backside, as well as the train tracks that I know damaged a few rims, but overall a pretty good course. Nice roads. I didn't see any cars driving out into the track. That's always a good thing. And we'll see if it's back here for 2017. It's a nice central location. Gets a lot of people out on Memorial Day to pin a number on and toe the line, if they did not make it out to Rockford or Lester Prairie the last 2 days. But again, most of these guys have been racing all weekend. Different levels of fatigue. So we'll just see how things go. My teammate Laszlo Alberti, who's wearing the white jersey, which means he is the Masters Crit champion from last year. Approaching the 3rd lap at about 8.5 minutes. So yeah, we're looking at about 2.5 minutes a lap, which these are pretty long laps. Again, I appreciate the promoter, Mike Delaney, first putting on this race, coming out and doing things like putting carpet over train tracks, but as well as getting the speakers out, getting Jim Cullen out on the microphone. Jim knows probably 90% of these racers, so he is excellent on the mic. I just think that that makes all the difference in the world if you come out and spectate, especially if you don't know what's going on. He does a great job of filling everybody in on bonus points and how teamwork works and all sorts of things. And again, speaking of teamwork, I'm on Laszlo's wheel, and again, Ben Schinke and Michael Mardoz are up front, keeping check of things, keeping the pace hot. Matt Myers and Chad Wisegram working together to protect Chad's lead. They did a nice job on this corner. I think at the beginning of the day it was pretty sandy, and it's been swept off and blown off really nicely. We're all strung out here. Not quite single file, but Actually, we're all over the road at this point. Going into this last turn. Try to brake as little as possible. Not at all if you can help it. And again, trying to conserve energy, but always keeping my eye on Chad, always keeping my eye on Brian, as well as all of the Hollywood team. Again, Ben had his name announced quite a few times, as he was the head of the arrow for most of the race. All right, here we go. Things get exciting. I know I need to be a part of this. I was a little farther back than I should have been, but if I let this go, this could be my race. So I put in some digs and get up to 38, 39 miles, 40 miles an hour. Man, I get on Matt's wheel. And now we've got a break of 6. With Brian Welch up there just drilling it, trying to get away. He realizes this is probably going to be the only way that he's going to go from, well, we're tied for second, but this is going to be the only way that he can get a second place. So he's going for it, not realizing that I made the break. I think at this point he still thinks that I maybe got caught out. Todd Foster, his teammate, struggling back there. And I'm sitting comfortably on Chad's wheel. Again, we're going over 30 miles an hour, but I'm only putting out 300 watts. We can maintain that. I'm guessing that Brian's probably putting out over 400 watts right now, 400 to 500 watts right now, as he is on the front pushing the pace. And we've got a pretty sizable gap on the rest of the field. However, at some point, Brian's going to turn around and realize that the gang's all here. This is a pretty funny break. We have 2 Vision riders, 2 Hollywood riders, and 2 Eric's riders. So I'm sure Michael and Ben are back in the group thinking, fantastic, we can just sit in and ride out the rest of the race if this thing sticks away. However, our field is made up of 40 plus riders and 50 plus riders. And the word is that the 50 plus guys were trying to bring us back. Also, we weren't doing any help. We weren't helping Brian out at all. I'm not going to help, but I would rather Laszlo not help, because it is actually in my advantage for the whole group to get back together. Because if this stays away, there's no possible way that I could surpass Chad. However, if the whole group gets back together, there's still a chance I could get first and he could maybe get 4th or 5th, which could be enough points to overtake him. So I'm not helping out in this break. And honestly, just making sure that it doesn't get away, but hoping that everything gets back together again. And that my teammates can leave me out. So yeah, nothing like cruising around this course at 30 miles an hour, even though we're fading a little bit. The impetus is coming out of this attack. And again, if Vision or Eric's had helped Hollywood here at all, this thing, I have no doubt this thing would stay away, but we're not helping. So far it's been a lap and a half with just Brian. Now Chad takes over. He can't help himself. And I love this. That's right, when Brian realizes that, hey, I'm still here. He's got to be gassed right now. He just pulled a lap and a half, a mile and a half at 500 watts. Chad's still cranking, but the 50 plus group and the overall peloton is coming back. All right, we are 14 minutes in, which means we have about 30 minutes or a half an hour left of this race. We are approaching our first points lap. So as you can see, the Peloton way strung out back there, but it's coming back. It's pretty apparent to all 6 of us that it is going to be back. Chad's not pushing the pace really any harder than he has to. He realizes he's going to be sprinting here soon. Brian puts in one more dig. Laszlo takes care of me. Trying to find my gear. All right, Brian's turned off the gas, and the band is back together. Laszlo tells me to drink water and conserve energy. Thanks, buddy. Letting Laszlo know that we've got a bell lap coming up. Dave Carney up the right-hand side. I know Dave through our Eric's rides, as he often rides out of the Eric's Coon Rapids shop. He is a very new racer. Very strong guy, racing in the Cat 4s. I think he had a great race in the Cat 4s earlier, and now he's racing with the 40 plus, 50 plus, and trying to move with 10 laps to go. And everybody just kind of lets him go, realizing that this is a points lap and it's going to be cooking. So just like that, we've got about a lap to go. Ben knows. Ben and I have been doing this for the better part of a decade. And Ben comes up beside me and said, all right, we're going. Michael's up there, followed by Laz, followed by me. Ben let me in this gap. All right, points lap number 1. I need all 5 of these points if I even have a shot at getting on that top podium step. And look at this teamwork. This is awesome. Completely protected. Following Laszlo, following Michael. You know, they don't need to drill it too hard. Nobody's coming around us. Swarmed here a little bit, but nothing too bad. Ben's on my left. We go around Matt Stein. All right, Laszlo looks back. All right, Brady, you're still there, which isn't always the case. And now everybody fights for wheels. They know what's going on. Matt's trying to take my wheel, realizing that I'm going to be coming off Laszlo. And yeah, we're fighting for it. No real rubbing, but he knows I'm there. I know he's there, and Ben realizes this, so comes up and takes care of me. Laszlo looks around. Yep, I'm still there. 31, 32. We're not killing it, but it's not a bad little lead out. Nobody's going to come around us if we're going over 30 miles an hour. Last turn, Laszlo goes, I stay in Laszlo's wheel. We go by Dave Carney, putting out over 1,000 watts. 36, 37, 38. All right, I back off. Now I know exactly what's going to happen, and it does. There's Brian Welch. He's going to think, all right, Brady's exhausted, I'm going to go. So I got to catch my breath, and get on that wheel, because that is a dangerous move. Nothing like sprinting at 38 miles an hour and then having to bridge a gap. I'm actually really surprised that I was able to do this. My legs must have been feeling good, because I could not always do this. He turns around, crap! Love it. That was a smart move. Again, the four of us kind of got away here, but Brian really doesn't have any motivation to drill it with me on his wheel. So, fantastic. I picked up 5 points, and Chad picked up 3, unfortunately. So I only gained 2 points on him in the overall Omnium. I'm still down 16. So Chad's doing a pretty excellent job of securing or protecting his lead. Matt Stein over the top to protect his rider. Matt had a great race. Got Charlie Anderson on that cool Specialized bike. My teammate Michael in my rear. Everybody catching their breath a bit. Got about 4 more laps before we'll be sprinting again for that second bonus opportunity. Still getting over a cold, so lots of junk coming up. Todd Foster saying that last effort hurt him a little bit. At El Paso again, hanging in there. He does pretty good on the weekend. Sometimes things happen during this point of the race. There's a little bit of a lull, people trying to catch their breath. Got Jason Engel on my rear. Again, Ed on my right. Matt Stein up above here. As we're approaching this headwind section, kind of a head crosswind section. And I roll up behind Laszlo, and I've got Michael and Ben up here. And I think one of them looks one way and the other one looks the other way. And that's never good. You know when your life flashes in front of your eyes? Oh! That took all of my strength to hold Ben up. Nothing like having your sizable teammate come into you. Unfortunately, Ben does go down and takes down Jason Engel, the promoter of the Midwest Flyover. And that is that. So actually at this time, I think that both Ben and Michael have gone down, because I sure the heck wasn't turning my head around in a situation like that. If there was a crash in the race, even if it is a teammate, you keep your head looking straight ahead, your eyes straight ahead, so you don't get caught up in the next one. So at this point, I feel bad. I don't know whether he's broken a collarbone, worse, but we kind of neutralize things. Nobody attacks. Again, we're all gentlemen. We all need to go to work the next day.
Take your shower, Mike.
So we kind of ease off a little bit before getting back on the gas. And at this point, I think it's down to Laszlo and myself in terms of Eric's riders. Big Mike Stensrud, he's the 55 plus or 50 plus guy up ahead, pushing the pace. Brian Welch on my wheel. And I'm trying to let Ben's wife Heather know that he crashed, I don't know, how that would really be helpful, but I know when Angie doesn't see me in the group, she thinks the worst, and I guess I just let Heather know that, yes, the worst did just happen. So these laps are so long at 1.1 miles, by the time we get back around to where they crashed, everybody's picked themselves up, dusted themselves off, assessed the damage, and either are out of the race or are using their free lap. So in most crits, if you get a puncture, you crash, you have a mechanical. You get a free lap, you get to take a lap off and then get pushed back into the race until, I guess it varies. I forgot what she said in our race. I think maybe with the last 5 laps you can't do that. However, there's about 7 or 8 laps left, so anyone who was involved in that crash can get pushed back in. But there is no way that I think that Ben is going to get back in this race at this point. So we've got 1 sprint point down. Again, I collected 5 points. We've got another one coming up here in a couple of laps, and then the finish. Legs are still feeling pretty good. Again, based on Chad getting second in that first sprint, I realize I'm probably not sprinting for the top of the podium, but I'd love to win this race, and I'd love to secure my second place. And this is the first time I realized, hey, Michael's still in the race. I looked down at his rear derailleur, and the cable on that rear derailleur is all funky from going into the front of Ben's wheel, but he didn't go down. And at the time, I definitely thought he did go down. So I'm kind of trying to figure out where Ben is at here. And there he is. Ben is getting pushed back into the race. He's got a new front wheel. And he's back in. He took his free lap and he's back in the group. It's always, even if you just get a flat tire, it's always stressful getting pushed back into a race, because here we are flying at almost 30 miles an hour and you're going from a dead stop. So I'm sure he's back there just pushing it right now. Adrenaline rushing from hitting the pavement and realizing that he wants to come out and help me out. That is a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic teammate. Again, it's always very easy to point fingers on why things happen, why that crash happened. Shouldn't have happened, but again, if you race crits, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And unfortunately, just guys weren't paying attention quite well enough, and it happened. So we're about a half an hour into this race. There's about 15 minutes left, 1 sprint lap, and then the finish. My legs are still feeling pretty good. I've been well protected the whole race. And again, at this point of the crit, you're just trying to stay mentally prepared for what might happen, including somebody going down next to you, in front of you, a rival sprinting off the front, heck, even a car or a dog coming out into the race course. Stranger things have happened. All right, we are approaching our second of the 2 points laps. And I've got Brian Welch right up above, right up ahead of me. It looks like he's definitely wanting to go for this one, since his tactic of trying to break away after the first one didn't work. All right, points lap number 2. Laszlo comes up to take care of me. Tells me, stay put. If there's a wheel I love being on, it's my teammate Laszlo, who knows where to be and when. Where he's sitting on Chad's wheel, and I noticed that Ben is back in the race, and Ben and Michael are up front. Laszlo takes me over the top of Chad, or tries to, and then Matt comes up, and Matt is trying to knock me off Laszlo's wheel and doing a pretty good job of it. So I have to come around the other side of Chad and let Ben know.
Come on your outside, Ben. Come on your outside.
Here we go for the second sprint. Trying to use Laszlo the best I can. This gets a little hairy right here. It was close. Very, very close, but I got the final 5 bonus points. So right now I am 10 points, well, not quite 10 points. I am, I forget what Brian got. If he got 3, I might be 7 points up on Brian right now. Oh, Chad's still getting some of these points. I realize at this point that he's pretty much secured the win. However, with 5 laps to go, my legs feel good. I definitely want to win this race. We've been racing for over half an hour. My heart rate's at 160. I'm an old guy, so my heart rate doesn't get that high. Never has. RPM's about 100. And again, we've gone about 15 miles already. Jason, who went down in that crash and jumped in the grass, is back in the race. Looks like his bike's all right. Just a little grass stain on his thigh. So 4 laps to go. About 4 miles left in this race. Brendan Hale goes over the top on the inside. Trying to move up a few positions. Andy Fry can't help himself. It's getting to be an every race sort of thing. Little good luck squeeze. Thanks, Andy. At this point in the race, you're going to see some breakaway attempts from guys that realize they can't sprint, so you'll kind of keep an eye out for that. However, at a stage race, typically the guys that aren't in the mix for the overall Omnium, we can just let them go. All right, see if I can see the lap counter here. And still pushing it at the front. I believe it is 3 laps to go at this point. I really hope I don't cause an accident based on people hamming it up with the camera, but it would be my fault. It would not be my fault. It's a gorgeous morning. It's in the 80s, holiday morning, a few clouds in the sky, but it's just been a fantastic morning and overall day for a race. Saturday really was the only hit and miss day. Sunday, again, was pretty nice as well. So, again, coming up to these last couple laps, keeping an eye on my biggest competitors. I'm on Brian Welch's wheel, going through this construction area a couple more times. In sizable crits, especially Pro 1-2 crits that are more technical, it is essential the last 5 or 6 laps that you're up in the top 10 or 15. With this crit, there was really only about 40 of us in here with these wide roads. You didn't get quite as nervous, feeling like you needed to be in that top 10 with 3 or 4 to go. But you could be tail gunning either. All right, approaching 2 laps to go. Everybody planning their course of action here, because I'm getting a little swarmed. And we are all over the road. Charlie Anderson going backwards. Spread 6-7 wide. I believe that's Brian telling Todd to grab Meyer's wheel. Not sure why. And I'm surrounded by my three teammates. Laszlo up to the left. Ben, who is bloodied. Yes, Ben is bloodied from his tumble, is back in the race to protect me the best he can. Those bibs aren't cheap, Ben. Neither is skin. All right. Ben gets me up front. To avoid the swarming action, Michael gets in front of him. I believe Myers has a slow leak from cracking his rim on one of these railroad tracks and is trying to push through a tire that is slowly losing air. All right, coming up to that bell lap. If you're a sprinter, this is where you get really, really, really excited, especially when you have two teammates in front of you and one waiting to come around and help you when he needs to. Again, this is great. We're all so damn nice. I'm trying to fight for Myers' wheel. I have Todd Foster right next to me, not letting me get Myers' wheel. And listen to what he says here. Sorry, bud, I'm not going to let you have that. All right, let's finish this thing out. The last lap. And I do love a great lead out. So Matt Stein from Hollywood goes over the top. I just make sure not to get swarmed. But then Michael and Ben go by him. And here we go. I get a free ride for a mile. Myers is on my wheel. Cruising along at 30 miles an hour. Nobody's going to come over the top of us. Again, if we are going over 30, we've still got 3/4 of a mile to go. 32 miles an hour. My heart rate's still just fine. Chad comes up. So does Laszlo. Laszlo tells Michael to give it all he has for the last few hundred meters here. Second to last turn. Michael pulls off. Now it's up to Ben. Again, Ben's cranking. Guys are getting the idea. Maybe I want to come over the top. Ben does his job. I tell Laszlo, nobody's coming around us. And having the state crit champion lead you out is a fantastic, fantastic feeling. Oh, I clip a pedal, go way wide, come back, go on the inside, and it's been a while since I won a race, so I'm not letting this one get away. 40 miles an hour with this light tailwind. I'll take it. I'm guessing that's going to be the most fun crit of the year. Brian gives me a pat on the back. And here's how things finished out. Had time to put my hands up, but I'm never putting my hands up. Hey, the best part.
Oh, how's Ben doing? Dude, I cannot believe you came back. Holy shit. husband's an animal.
Did you take him out so you could win?
Oh,
Is that
no,
what happened?
he just about took me out.
Did you get that cream?
Is it Michael that went into me?
Yeah, I got both in the win, so it was a fantastic race. But man, these guys, when I saw Ben come back, I'm like,
You okay?
Angie didn't see it. She saw that he was down, but
yeah, it was on the farthest.
what happened?
Well, then when I came back in, it was a sprint lap. Mike was like on the front.
All right, so it was a fantastic day. I ended up winning the crit, which secured my second place. So Chad Weisgrim on top, followed by myself and Brian Welch, Michael Mordoz, Ed Elbasa, and Matt Myers. Great weekend.